everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. Today we are going to discuss about the connection between lifestyle and liver health. Some of the common liver conditions we see these days in young population, young adults. Some would be fatty liver, NASH, cirrhosis, and these are like very few. There are more. It is not just that you drink alcohol or booze a lot, that's why you get this. No, your lifestyle habits, non-alcoholic people for that matter, are also getting these conditions, and it affects both obese and lean people. So we have Afroz here to share her expert insights on the topic. So Afroz comes from over 18 plus years of experience, and she has closely worked with people who have some serious liver conditions, right? So over to you, Afroz.
Thank you very much, Manisha, for the that kind introduction. I welcome each and every one of you who are here and who are ready to spend some time with us. This shows that you are interested to understand how important it is to look at your liver health. Okay, so if you ask me why did we choose liver, so let me just tell you that this is month of April, and in April 19th is celebrated or observed as the World Liver Health Day. So basically in the liver day, what happens is we do a lot of awareness so that everybody can get aware of what are the various diseases which can affect a normal person to a sick person, and how they need to take care of their liver health and everything. So when we were discussing what should we take up, shall we talk about cirrhosis, shall we talk about hepatitis, shall we talk about the other alcoholic liver diseases and everything, then the idea struck as clinicians to us is that there is something called as a silent not a pandemic, I would say it's like epidemic, which is very silent, where most of us are suffering with fatty liver at some or the other stage of our life. It is not restricted to anybody like only above 50 years you're gonna get a fatty liver. It is nowadays, it is seen in teens, it is seen in young obese children, it is seen in lean people. So there is no age for fatty liver. So let's understand this silent disease. Let's understand some of the symptoms of this, or how do we get diagnosed, how do we get aware of our liver health and works towards it. So that, because why this is important is that fatty liver is completely reversible. So it is a very good news for all of us that when it is a reversible disease, so we need to work towards it so that we can take care of this, so that we reverse it and we keep our liver healthy. If you look at the role of liver is called as the powerhouse of the body. So when we say powerhouse of the body, it means it takes care of the major functions of all our body. More than 500 vital functions are being taken care by our liver. So imagine how important it is. And another good beauty of our liver is that it can regenerate its cells. No other organ can regenerate, but liver cells can be regenerated. So if there is any damage, it can regenerate. If there's any small scarring happens, it can be regenerated and everything, provided at the early stages we are intervening and we are allowing our body to regenerate and allowing that gap so that it can regenerate and it can remain healthy. So if you look at it, what does the liver do? So the moment the food what we eat, what happens to the food, how it gets digested, to digest the various juices are required, all these are secreted by the liver. It releases the stream of juices into the stomach so that it can digest the carbs, it can digest the fats, it can digest the proteins, and it also gets involved even when some kind of a toxins comes to our body, like we call it as poisonous substances. According to me, the ethyl alcohol, which is nothing but alcohol, the smoke, or there's any kind of chemicals or say pesticides and all those things which it comes, it actually breaks them down, doesn't allow them to get into the circulation. So there are something called as Kupffer cells which are there in our liver, which filters out a lot of toxins and it detoxifies our body. So the role of liver is in such a way that whatever we eat, our body gets detoxed because of the liver. So this is very, very important that we don't allow our liver to get damaged so that the detoxification stops. Trust me, when the detoxification stops, then only all the diseases starts. So now, and one more thing, the word liver comes from the word called liver. So if you live, the moment you remove the word letter R, and it becomes live. So it is an organ of longevity. Your health, your age, everything is determined on your health of your liver also. So as the topic of today is fatty liver, let's understand what is fatty liver. Many of clients, they say that, I'm very young, how can I get fatty liver? I don't drink, I don't booze, how can I get fatty liver? I'm a female, how can I get a fatty liver? I'm not even 40, how can I get a fatty liver? So I don't eat sugars, how can I get a fatty liver? So there are many, many things which we need to understand, that what could be the causes and what is that leading to fatty liver and everything. As I said, fatty liver doesn't give you any alarm and say that, I'm expanding in the size and everything, or there's a fat getting deposited on the liver and everything. So it's just that it has to get evaluated and everything. So before that, we get into the details of fatty liver. Let me explain you few, scientific terminologies. So the first word is called as NAFLD. The other one is called as NAFL. The third one, the down one, is called as NASH. So if you look at NAFLD, NAFLD is an umbrella, NAFLD, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So it has been divided into two parts. The one is the fatty liver, which is NAFL, non-alcoholic fatty liver. The other one is NASH, non-alcoholic steatohepatitis. So what happens is here is, we call it as under one umbrella of fatty liver diseases, because when the fat starts depositing on the liver, when does it happen? It happens when you start overeating carbs or overeating fats, or your liver is not able to metabolize all those things. So the fat starts getting deposited on the filters of the liver, where it is actually supposed to filter the detox the body and everything. So more than 5% of fat deposited on the liver is called as fatty liver. To give you an example, our liver is actually on the right side of our chest area, below chest and above the diaphragm, and it weighs around 1.2 to 1.5 kgs based on the height and stature of a person. So around 1.5 kg of is this solid organ what we have. In that, if 5% of it turns out to be fat, so around say 150 grams easily, right? So if the fat deposits on the liver is basically a brown color structure, but when the fat start depositing, it becomes yellowish, a little yellowish patchy structure. So that is when the filters will not work, and that is where we call it as fatty liver. So that is what is NAFL. And once, what happens if you have fat deposited on the liver? Fine, this is reversible. But if it has not been taken care of it, you're not addressing the issue, you're not taking care of it and not working towards reversing it and everything, on a long run, it can lead to NASH. NASH is nothing but the same fat deposited on the liver, but with inflammation happening. Because there is a fat deposited, the inflammation of the liver starts. And this condition can lead to the NASH and fibrosis. Fibrosis is nothing but, because there is inflammation, the scarring of the liver tissue starts. And once the scarring starts, then it becomes irreversible. From here, you actually gets advanced towards cirrhosis, which is the complete scarring of the liver, which can lead to liver failure and everything. And HCC is nothing but hepatocellular carcinomas, which is a liver cancers and everything. So remember one thing, till NASH, it is reversible. It's completely in our hand that we can keep our liver healthy. Okay. So fatty liver, I have just explained you everything in the one slide. Let me just run through that. It's the 5% of fat deposited on the liver, which leads to fatty liver. The liver size increases, the liver becomes enlarged and swollen, and it can be both in obese people and lean people, and can lead to obesity, diabetes, and liver diseases. And it can be because of extreme high intake of fat and sugars also, right? So then if you look at it, this is the stage where we call it as steatohepatitis. If you don't treat fatty liver, it leads to the inflammation. There could be a small pain you may observe, but there could be no symptoms at all until you progress it to the cirrhosis of liver. Trust me, that is the advanced stages of liver failures or liver diseases. But till that, the body never gives symptoms. And the best part to, get it diagnosed is to, go for periodic checkups and meeting your doctors and your health coaches. Okay, so this is the spectrum. As I explained you, the liver, healthy liver looks mostly like a brown structure. It becomes yellowish. The NAFLD becomes NAFL. It becomes, and then if it is inflamed, it leads to NASH. Till there, it is reversible. But after that, if the tissue scarring starts, the stiffness of the liver starts, then it becomes irreversible, and the regeneration of the cells will not happen from here. And that can lead to hepatocellular carcinoma, and only thing which is left at the end would be your transplantation of your liver. So now we understood, what is NAFLD, that why it is important. I'm sure you'll remember once the session gets over what is NAFLD, NAFL, and NASH. So if you ask me how prevalent is this, so there are a lot of studies which are done in American populations, Canadian population, Australian populations. But if you look at it, India, the prevalence can be as high as 40 to 53% actually, because the population has to be studied, understood, how their livers are looking like and everything. So it is quite prevalent. That is what I call it as, a silent epidemic, that there is, every one of us are having it, and it is not being treated and everything. So, and in that, 10 to 20% of people are progressing it to NASH, where it is leading to the inflammation of your liver. So that is very, very important stage, that, we get it as much as possible, get it treated, get it evaluated, and we work towards it. So this is how we see the tissue. When we go for the evaluation and everything, we see the steatosis. Steatosis is nothing but the hepatic steatosis is the scientific terminology for fatty liver. Okay, so here we see that there's a lot of fat deposition on the tissue when we take out the tissue of the liver. But in steatosis more than 5%, it can be a lot of inflammation happening, ballooning. If you can see that there is a lot of ballooning happening in this tissue structure. So that is what is called as the NASH stage. And fibrosis, you can see the stiffening of the liver, tissue will happen. So this is how it gets, diagnosed. What causes fatty liver and who are at risk of fatty liver? So the as we all know, obesity and overweight can be one of the reasons for fatty liver. But as also I said, a lean person can also be at a same risk of fatty liver now, because the reason being that the body fat percentage differs, the visceral organ fat percentage differs. People who have more higher visceral fat percentage, people who have more subcutaneous fat percentage compared to their muscle mass, tend to have a fatty liver conditions. They could be as thin as a pencil thin people. So they could be like underweight also, but if the fat percentage is high and the muscle percentage is low, they can have a little enlarged liver. So this should not be neglected. It should get evaluated and everything. And it is also seen in people who have insulin resistance. Insulin resistance is again associated with the fat percentage of your body. If your fat percentage is high, you tend to have insulin resistance. Or if you're overeating, your carb portions, your sugar contents are very, very high in your diet for a prolonged period, that can also lead to insulin resistance. Metabolic syndrome, when there is we call it as apples and pears, basically. Apple-shaped obesity in men, where there's a lot of fat deposited around the waist area, and for the women, below the waist, the weight starts. So it is more like an pear-shaped obesity in women. So those people are also more prone to having fatty liver, and definitely hyperglycemia and higher levels of fat, where when your cholesterol levels remains high in the blood and the sugar levels are slightly higher, can tend to increase chances of fatty liver. So why it increases? Because your liver has to convert all your glucose from your diet, whatever you've eaten, to glycogen and store it. But when the dosages are very, very high, what it can do? So what happens that time? The body, instead of converting them into glycogen, it starts converting them into triglycerides, which is another form of fat. So the fat gets released into the bloodstream, fat starts getting deposited to the liver. It means the portion size what you have eaten is more than the required for the body. That is when it happens. So I'm actually against the buffet people who go and eat, people eat 3 times a meal in one meal and everything. So that is what you're not supposed to do. It is basically a serious insult to your liver. It is a toxification for your liver to digest so much of carbs and sugars, everything. So diagnosis, how do we diagnose? So first thing what we do is, as health coaches, when you all come to us, we take your history in detail. We'll ask you about your family details, your weight history, what has been your trend of weight. If you say me that my weight is increasing, it could be an alarm. But if you say me that I have lost 15 kgs in 2 weeks, it could also be alarming, because I don't know whether you lost fat or you lost muscle, because you would have lost definitely muscle. And people who have rapid weight loss tend to have a fatty liver. So that is also not a good sign. So weight loss should never happen overnight. It should be a slow process. So all this history will be taking it down from you, understanding your food portion sizes, what you're eating, how does your day look like, do you exercise or not, what's been your family history, you've always been on the higher side of weight, all those things, like, are your dinners very heavy compared to the other meals of the day. All those details, we are going to take it into your medical and lifestyle history. And then definitely the blood test, what you undergo, our doctors will be definitely looking at SGOT, SGPT, which is nothing but ALT and AST levels and everything, to see whether there's any damage. Because when there is a slight damage to the liver, these enzymes can be released more into the bloodstream. So this is something which our doctors might pick up and may ask for further investigations to look at your liver health and everything. So then our doctors will suggest you for radiological imaging, which can involve ultrasound to see the size and texture of your liver, or maybe a CT scan or MRI may be asked to understand the exact, fat deposition to be understood and everything on your liver. And there is something called as a fibroscan, which checks the, it's a small invasive procedure where they check the, scarring or the stiffness of the liver to say whether there's any damage has happened or not. So all these things will be checked in the radiological imaging, and which our doctors might ask further so that they can diagnose it and can be taken care. Histology is nothing but the tissue thing, which I've just shown you a couple of slides before. This tissue will also be studied. It's a histopathology where they'll try to understand whether it is in the NAFL stage or it is in the NASH stage. Given the prevalence rate, the way I have told you about the Indians and everything, which can be above 40% now. But if we look at the gender-wise, it is more common in men compared to women. And the incidences are increasing with the age. But at the same time, I would say that, though it is increasing, you have to remember that it is also seen in teens and 20s nowadays. And it's also seen in children. So there is no age for fatty liver now. And one more thing, though I have mentioned it as higher in males, it doesn't mean that their counterpart females are, free of this risk. No, women who have irregular cycles, PCOD, pre-diabetes, insulin resistance, all this this increases the risk of fatty liver again in women. So, and one more risk what women include more compared to men is that women tend to have more subcutaneous fat compared to a man. So you always need to ensure, though it is seen mostly in men, but it's also becoming prevalent in women nowadays. So 80 to 90% definitely for sure it is in obese adults. It can be male and female both, no gender bias here. Then 30 to 40% it is seen mostly in diabetes, because there's more glucose. The more glucose, the more glycogen. When the body can't convert glycogen, it gets converted to triglycerides, and that's how the fat deposit starts. And 90% again, it is seen in people who have hyperlipidemia, where your cholesterol level remains high. It can be a total cholesterol, it can be your LDL or VLDL, anything. VLDL generally goes high during fatty liver things. 3 to 10%, as I said, among children, and it is raising up to 40 to 70% among obese children. So children who are used to of eating salted packed chips and everything, to big donuts, to a can of sodas, sweetened sodas and everything. This is what we have to look at it, so that we can work on our children, so that they can be prevented, their liver remains healthy, and we can work towards their health as well. So NASH and NAFLD, if you look at it, as I said, if there are 5 people who have NAFL, 3 will have a risk of converting them into NASH. At least out of 5, 3 can get converted if it is not treated. Out of this 3, 2 have at least a risk of having fibrosis, which can lead to cirrhosis or hepatic cellular carcinoma. So you can look at it, though it is a reversible disease, but the frequency, if you're not able to control it, it can lead to a very advanced diseases in future, which can lead to death and everything. So that is one thing which we all have to take it seriously today, that, though fatty liver is just a fat deposit, reversible disease, but if you're not working towards it, can harm on a long run. So symptom wise, do you see symptoms when you have fatty liver? Fatty liver can be grade 1, fatty liver can be grade 2, fatty liver can be grade 3. Your doctor will be grading it accordingly based on the radiological imaging reports and your blood reports and everything. So if you look at it, that few may have symptoms, like you may feel fatigue, tiredness, you may feel a little weight changes. Some people will show weight loss, as I said, when they are having fatty liver, and there could be a little abdomen discomfort. They will feel a pain on the right side, kind of a thing that can happen. And 80% of the time, there are no symptoms at all for fatty liver. So complications, what happens if you have, fatty liver? NAFL, it can, as I said, can go up to fibrosis, it can lead to cirrhosis, but can also lead to, we call it as pot belly. Pot belly is nothing but there's a lot of fluid gets accumulated here in the stomach. When there is a liver, you will lose weight, but your belly size will keep increasing. That is when a lot of, albumin gets accumulated in that liquid. So doctors will generally do a tapping and remove. It shows the inefficiency of the liver function. Esophageal varices, the veins can get dilated. Hepatic encephalopathy can happen. Liver failures can happen. It can lead to cancer, as I said. All these are the further complications of fatty liver. What are we supposed to do when you get diagnosed with fatty liver? So thing is, speak to your doctor first. The first line of treatment for fatty liver is very, very simple. Modification of your lifestyle, your diet. That's it. No medications will be given to you unless you respond to these two, modalities properly. So what we do is basically the drugs may be focused on managing your insulin resistance. They could be managing your hyperlipidemia, all those things. But otherwise, there is no medical, treatment per se for fatty liver alone. So it is more of diet and lifestyle changes which we need to do. That's actually a good news that it can be prevented only with these two interventions. So what are we supposed to do? One is, these are our obstacles which we need to understand, that when you overeat anything, your sleeps are disturbed, binge eating is involved, binge drinking is involved, all these things can lead to fatty liver. So dietary changes, what we say is, when you eat, just don't look for what is the sugar content of the meal. Look what is the fiber content of the meal also. When you're eating, look whether there is any fiber or not. Okay, many people say, I don't eat this rice, I eat this rice. But what I say is, look at what are the fiber associated with your meal. So when you're eating something, are there any fiber? So fiber is something which doesn't get digested, gets excreted in the body, but removes all the toxicity from your body, right? So fiber can be in your vegetables, salads, sprouts. If you can add, you can make your rotis more multigrain and everything. So you're getting more fiber, something where you need to put little efforts and chew your food. So that is what you have to ensure that. So the examples of fiber are like, suppose if you're eating any multigrain atta, ensure that you are also mixing something from your end, like you're mixing a besan flour, you're adding ragi flour, you're mixing a whole wheat. You get husk nowadays, wheat flour, wheat husk also you get it. So you can add it back to your flour, so that you're increasing the fiber content of your rotis and everything. So that way you can mix. Ensure there's a lot of whole seeds added in your diet, so you're getting the fiber in your diet. You're getting a lot of green leafy vegetables, minimum at least 3 times in a week. You should try and include. According to me, to get a good fiber and everything, you should have minimum 5 servings of vegetables, which is like 1 serving is 100 grams. So I would say definitely half a kg of vegetable per person per day if you carry it. That's the recommendation. So proteins. So people who are also on a protein deficit can lead to this fatty liver and everything. So you have to ensure that you take minimum required, that is 0.8 grams to 1 gram per kg body weight. Like suppose if I'm 50 kgs, I am supposed to have minimum 50 grams of protein. So how do I calculate? I'll ensure I'll have 2 to 3 katori of dal in a day. I'll have 1 or 2 katoris of curd, or maybe 1 or 2 cups of milk I'll add in a diet. Maybe 1 egg I'll add. So all those kind of things has to be there in a diet. The diet should not be only a carb-based diet, like you're eating rice and rasam, curd and rice, but there's no fiber, and also those things you have to avoid. So fats. When we talk about fats, there are 2 types of fat. One is the saturated fats, and there are something called as, unsaturated fats. So the saturated fats and unsaturated fats are actually built up together in any oil. If you look at it, there's no oil that there is no saturated fat. So every oil has small amount of saturated fats. But the best thing we are supposed to keep it less than 7% of the total fat intake when we are taking the saturated fat. So will you be able to calculate? What you can do is you have to just ensure that you're cutting down on your bakery products, animal fats if you're taking less. That is one thing which you can do to ensure that you're not more on saturated fat. So like you go skinless chicken, you avoid the white meat, part of the meat and everything. So red meat has to be avoided. All those things has to be done when you're trying to avoid the saturated fats. MUFAs are nothing but monounsaturated fatty acids, which come from all our plant-based source oils. Like, we get it from our groundnuts, we get it from our soybean oil, we get it from sunflower. So all those kind of oils we need to include. But overall, how much do you need to take? I would definitely say 3 to 4 teaspoons of oil in a day. That's it, not more than that. So if you look at it, that 1 teaspoon is 5 ml. So I am giving you a recommendation of 20 to 25 ml of your oil for a whole day. So it means you're not supposed to have more than half a liter of oil in a month. Provided you do that, if you eat all your 3 meals at home itself, then you can calculate and see, because sometimes what happens, most of the time we eat from outside. So we never know how much oil we consume, because a lot of hidden calories comes from the outside food and everything. So ensure that, aaj se thoda kam oil has to be reduced in the diet. PUFAs are also, again, the same polyunsaturated fatty acids, the way I said. So if you can include olives to say sunflower oil, all these combinations actually works out better to, control this inflammation happening in the liver. Then comes the micronutrients. So, what happens when the fat starts getting deposited on the liver? There could be an oxidative stress to the liver. To reduce that oxidative stress, you should try and take more of antioxidants. So when I say antioxidants, the first question comes is, shall I go for multivites and everything? I would definitely leave these questions for our doctors to answer you. They are the best people to tell you. But what, as a nutritionist, as a health coach, what I would encourage you is to ensure that you eat it from the diet, the natural sources, as much as possible. Though you may eat 1/10 of your requirement, but that is better utilized. The availability of those nutrients are much better compared to any other synthetic medications what you're taking. So ensure there's a lot of zinc, copper, vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin E. These are the kind of foods which you need to add. So let me just take you through, what all I can add. Okay, so before that, vitamin A, D, E, and C. How do you get it in the diet? Do I need to calculate whether I'm getting my requirements or not? So first thing is, for vitamin D, ensure that you're having a good exposure to the sun. Minimum 10 to 15 to 20 minutes, at least between 8 a.m. till 11:30 a.m. That's what I would say. Anytime you pick up, but try to have a good sunlight exposure so that you're getting your vitamin D requirement met. Apart from that, ensure that you are adding minimum 2 fruits in a day if possible, so that you get your all B vitamins, vitamin C and vitamin E, everything can be met. So you can add 2 fruits, whole fruits, not juices, but fruits. If you can add, that would help you. Right, so that is one thing you should try and add. Apart from that, green leafy vegetables, as I said, the 4 to 5 servings, if you can add, that will help you. You need to ensure that you are adding those vegetables in your diet. You should see a rainbow color of things on your plate. There is some yellow color, orange color, green color. So this is how your plate should look like. Not the synthetic colors added and made into that food, but the natural colored foods, if you can retain. And one more thing, remember, when you cook, your vegetables should not lose that natural color of it. Many times it happens, I've seen some people making bhindi sabzi and everything, it becomes black in color. Green palak becomes some other color when it goes into palak paneer sometimes. So, it should not lose that color. It should retain that color. So then only you get all those phytochemicals, you get that vitamins, what you needed in your diet and everything. Right? So just ensure that you're adding that. Almonds, walnuts are something which you needed for your vitamin E requirements and everything. So ensure you're taking those 4 to 5 almonds and 2 to 3 pieces of walnuts daily in your diet. You are meeting your requirements for your multivites if you're doing this. Right? Okay. So there is one study. It's a scientific study which has done that, which has shown that people who take Mediterranean diet versus a low-fat diet. So there it has shown that people who just reduce fat when they have fatty liver, and it has come down to 16%. But when you take a Mediterranean diet, the reduction has happened up to 5%. Fat reduction has happened. So in so many people. So what is Mediterranean diet? Vegetarian diet, though it sounds something like not an Indian one, but it means a diet which is mostly a plant-based diet, which includes a lot of grains, a lot of legumes, where you are eating chana, chola, rajma, all those kind of seeds. You have a high fiber carbs, added lot of things. You are also reducing your fat thing, meat is reduced, everything, and plus a lot of fiber added, olives added, so a lot of all those good things are added. Then it leads to a diet called Mediterranean, and it shows a well reduction in fatty liver cases. So probably we can have discussion one-on-one on this diet once you connect with us. I'll try to help you with this. Okay, so let me just comprehensively tell you exactly what are we supposed to do when you have fatty liver. How can I reduce? So first thing, when you come to us for a new diet consultation or a lifestyle change thing and everything, we try to go at least 500 calories below your diet, what you're eating. It differs from case to case. I can reduce 1000 calories also based on the case to case, whether a person is very obese, a person is very lean. So there is a period where we do this so that your body is actually going to a mild starvation, where your body can utilize that fat deposited on the liver and everything. We suggest 5 to 10% of weight loss, baseline weight loss initially, a slow weight loss, so that what you're losing is fat, not muscle. And then we try to work on your micronutrient deficiencies. The way I said, all these vitamins and nutrients, we'll try to figure it out. We'll give you a kind of a plan and say, like, this is what I want to ensure that you're taking all those things in your diet. Physical activity, when we say minimum 150 minutes of exercises which you need to fetch up in a week. It means 30 minutes for 5 days if you can do a good cardio. And then also for fatty liver, you are supposed to do a little resistance training, which can be minimum 30 minutes thrice a week. If you can get into that, that would help, where you're trying to use your body weight and trying to contract your muscles. This will also help to reduce fat percentage in the body. And the important thing, what you need to reduce in your diet is your fructose intake. Fructose comes from your the sodas and everything, sweetened things where you're taking. Also, in fatty liver, what I would suggest is that reduce as much as possible fruit juices, if you can, because fruit juices are again a fructose sugar. You are not getting all the fiber what you're supposed to eat. You are supposed to have it with the fiber. Fiber fills you. It keeps you filled for a longer time. And the digestion is quite slower compared to the sugar peaks what a juice can give you. So always go for a fruit than a fruit juice. Alcohol intake, yeah, that's my favorite. I would always keep telling that, try to work on your alcohol thing. Though there is a small recommendation given, but again, this recommendation is given globally. So my recommendation would be definitely not more than 1 to 2 pegs for men, and women, I think less than 1 peg or smaller peg than, not more than that. I can discuss on that. So these are the components of things which you need to remember to ensure that you are taking care of your fatty liver things. One is, try to cook your own meal, because once you start making food from scratch, you will understand that you are actually you understand what you have added in your food and everything, how much oil, how much sugar, what all has gone in and everything. But outside food, when it comes plated on your table and everything, it looks appealing, but you never know what is the sugar content, salt content, what all MSG added in that, what is the oil added, and then it came out on your curry gravy and everything. So all those things, sometimes your 5 teaspoons can be in one gravy. So that is one thing I would say, definitely try to avoid. Try to make your own meal. Try to eat. Cheat meal can be once in a while, but not daily. That is one thing you have to take care. Apart from that, try to reduce your fat intake. As I said, become a little stingy when you're using oil. Use a small bottle so that you just, grease your pan and everything. It's not like floating oil where you add everything and fry in that. So frying has to be reduced as much as possible. Important thing is that you have to ensure you are controlling your portion sizes. Because your mountain of rice can give you a good amount of carbs. You drink one sweetened beverage one day, like it could be 300 calories. 7 days if you take, it is like 2100 calories. So these are 2000 calories are excess for your body. So what it does convert them, it gets converted to fat and everything, and it starts getting deposited. So once in a while is fine, but not on a daily basis. So portion control is the key for a fatty liver. That's one thing. Hydrate yourself, keep your liver lighter and everything. Snack healthy way, because that's the danger zone where we munch a lot of sugar and salts and oils. So try to be very, very careful with your snacking portions and everything, and read labels when you're buying anything. Just don't look for the prices or something, expiry dates, but also look at sugar content, salt content, oil content. There are products which has more than 50% sugar. One glucose biscuit can have good 2.5 teaspoons of sugar in one biscuit. So, suppose if you eat a small packet of 5, you are eating a good 10 to 12, teaspoons of sugar, which is a recommendation for 3 days. So these all are excess for your body, and it can lead to an a fatty liver. So try to avoid that. Exercises are something kindly don't neglect. This is minimum exercises which has been recommended by WHO, World Health Organization, where you should try and do at least brisk walking or kind of a cardio or dance, Zumba, whatever you can do. A mild jogging, if you can do, that would really help. Plus 2 to 3 days of resistance training, if you can do, this will keep you healthy and your liver lighter. So this is my scale. What I would say is, at what scale you should exercise, I would definitely say go near yellow, and slightly little above that, or orange's first line. If you can be around this, the yellow and orange, that would be enough for you to exercise. That should be your scale, where you're walking, you're exercising, but you're not able to talk. Your heart rate is a little higher, you're breathing a little hard, you are sweating. So that is how you should be when you're exercising. Not very low, not too high, so that you're not able to cope up. So this is a safe scale for exercises. Our physiotherapists, our fitness coaches will discuss with you when you get in touch with them, like what could be the safer limit for your exercises and everything. So thank you very much for listening, and I'm available for the questions, and also available for one-on-one consultation, so that we can connect.
Thank you so much, Afroz, for this insightful, conversation. Folks, if you have any questions, please, feel free to ask your questions or put it on the chat. Meanwhile, Afroz, I do have a question. So, so what would be, some of the tests that you would suggest women, or let's say men also, should do, let's say, as a preventive approach? And how often should we do the tests?
Manisha, minimum annually, one complete panel check if they can do. They'll get to know, like, how is their liver parameters, the kidney, their whole hemoglobin, everything, because many parameters are interlinked. I would not just say that, go for a liver profile test only, but also look at it, the entire thing. So once you have a picture of the numbers with you, that becomes your baseline value, and from here you can actually go to next steps and see what all tests you have to go and get it done. The first is definitely the blood test. Based on that, as I said, our doctors might take up for radiological scans and everything if needed.
Okay, understood. And we have one question here on the chat. So, vegetable oils. Sanjay here says that he has heard that vegetable oils is number one reason for diabetes. Which all oils would you suggest that people should consume, and also in what variations?
Okay, so if you ask me about vegetable oils, definitely not that way, because vegetable oils are rich in mufa and pufa, which we are discussing, monounsaturated fatty acid and polyunsaturated fatty acid. But if you're having certain amount of oil which has only pufa, that can increase the inflammation, and inflammation can impact your sugar levels and everything. So always the oil should be rotating, or you should use a mix of oils. That's what we say. So blending of oils will work. So but sometimes the blending gives you a little off taste and everything. So what we say is, try to keep changing your oils. So there are certain oils which are like seed based and flour based. So try to take 1 month a seed based oil, like a soya bean, or say groundnut oil or something. The other month you can go mostly on, which is rich in pufas, like sunflower oils, those oils, safflower oils, canola oils, all those oils you can use it. Or you can go for a rice bran oil. But the key lies in the total, how much amount of oil you consume. Because if you just have one vada dipped in oil and it comes out, it drinks around 5 to 6 teaspoons of oil. So your requirement of your oil is gone over there. So when you overeat your fats, that can impact your overall health condition. So the question is, Sanjay, is like, which oil do you use? So I would definitely say that, I go for a combination of oils, and I do a rotation of oil. So I go for rice bran oil 1 month, I will go for groundnut oil also. I would definitely prefer more of a crude oils than the oils which are available in the market nowadays and everything. So they'll have a very shorter life. So you should use it that much of oil within given time and everything. I hope I've answered this question. In case if you still have a doubt, we can discuss this, Sanjay.
I hope that answers Sanjay's question. How many times oil? Okay, there is one more question. How many times oil can be reused, and is it safe to consume?
Okay, so generally, if you look at it, the new guidelines from FSSAI has come out saying that you can use oil for 4 times. But many people have asked us this question, like 4 times, isn't it too much? Yes, it is too much because it depends upon the previous oil at what temperature you have used it. Did you deep fried it for very long time, where it reached the smoking point and everything? Then it can lead to a lot of free radicals, which can be carcinogenic. So we generally say that oils which are reheated for very long time should be avoided. This recommendation, when we checked with FSSAI, we got to know that this is for the restaurants and everything who use oil for minimum 20 times. So they have been asked to cut down from 20 times to 4 times, because they deep fry, same oil mixing, all those things keep happening. So one oil can be rotated so many times in a restaurant business. So my recommendation would be, like, try, if you're going to a smoking point, try as much as possible not to reuse the oil. In case if you're using, not more than less than 4 times. That's it, I would say. Stick to FSCI guidelines.
So nobody told me this rotation of oils. Why do such thing is not informed at larger level? Does government has any agenda in this?
See, basically what happens is, even because there are a lot of vegetable oils nowadays, and they come with, like, you will see a lot of ads like this is also mixed with oryzanol. So there's a blending happening nowadays already at the brand level. So you can see that the rice bran mixed with this oil and everything. So that is how it is happening. So the thing is, if you ask me the recommendation of oil, it is also not mentioned for anybody. They say that, this oil is also good for heart. So there is no oil which is good for heart anything. The oil has to be at a, the total quantity has to be lowered. That's how it is. So it is all about marketing and everything that, a brand makes it. Government level, if you ask me, the recommendation again depends person to person, gender wise, everything, the portion sizes differs. So if you ask me, what I would say is that, you have to stick to at least 3 to 4 teaspoons of oil. And if you're not doing rotation also, try to ensure that you're sticking to mostly the plant-based oils and fresh oils you're using, not for a very long-term oils.
What is the life of a healthy liver?
Uh, that's a quite tricky question. So, life of a healthy liver, if you ask me, as I said, liver is a regenerating organ. So, even if there's a small damage, it can regenerate. So, the life of a healthy liver is, as long as the liver is healthy, you are healthy. So, it completely depends on your longevity and everything. It's an organ of longevity, which I've already told you. But for an organ like liver, to move on from one stage to the other stage of disease, it takes minimum 5 to 7 years. That's what we say. So there are huge chances that you can reverse it. Fatty liver, it doesn't get scarred so easily, because there's always a regeneration keeps happening. So I would definitely say that, but rather than giving you a number on the life of liver and everything.
So आजकल के very young kids also, there
Huh.
is so much packaged food around us, right? So what are the healthier options which
So
can ensure that we put them on the right track?
so that what I would say is, the healthier option starts with the parents. What you eat, what do you give them, what are your bribing methods and everything to kids, and what you teach your child as, like, awarding thing, rewarding thing and everything. All it matters. And also the kind of surroundings they have, like everybody eats that only. Always you will have a packet of big biscuits and chips and everything at home. So all these things are gonna be there, Runjun. There is nothing like, it is gonna go out and it is gonna be banned by government or something. No, it is not gonna be banned anymore. It is gonna be there. It is all about the healthy portions which you're gonna include in your child's diet and everything. So my recommendation would be, you have to eat and show them what is healthy. Children who sit and eat with their family tend to have healthier food habits than children who eat separately from the elder ones. So that's one thing. The second question you asked me about the healthier options of snacking, right?
Yes, yes.
So healthier snacking options are something like, as I said, you have to develop, you should try and give them, I would definitely say a popcorn is better than a chips. But again, if you go with the packets one, which come with a lot of aromatic fats and all added in that, that is not healthy. Try to make it with the desi putta seeds, which you get it dried at home and everything. So that's a good one to include. You should teach them about the habits of including fruit as a snack, everything. So nowadays children, they don't like fruit, so you should try and include that thing than giving them a juices. Many children think that apple juice is that tastes good in a Tetra Pak. That's not apple juice. It is an apple flavored, a kind of
Yes, yes.
water.
Syrup, yeah, sugar
I
syrup.
mean, yeah, it's a sugar syrup. You can't get a juice packet for 10 rupees. I mean, you
Right.
can't get one apple for 10 rupees, I believe. So, you get a 10 rupees Tetra Pak. So that is not healthier. So you need to reduce the frequency of these foods for your children, and you need to actually bring the awareness. When you don't buy them, you don't get them, their thing will also decreases towards those kind of foods. And also, when the children feel like having them, you should give once in a while with the caution that this has sugars, this has something. Because if you completely avoid totally, will also impact them, because their counterparts, they will be having it. Because even in schools nowadays, there's any function, they give this only: a Tetra Pak of juice, one
Mhm.
cake piece, and a chips or something to go. So even from the school end, they do it. So everywhere our children are exposed to this kind of food. So it all starts with the parents, how they educate, and how you ask them to make the food choices and everything. How do you restrict their food choices, all those things.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
I'm also available for consults. You can just reach out to your care manager, so we can try and connect for the consult.
Okay, thank you so much, folks, for joining us, and stay tuned for more of such interesting webinars. Thank you, Afroz.